I want to first go back to late last week. You and I obviously had conversations off the record. We sort of heard things behind closed doors, how things were evolving. Billy Napier getting a second interview. And it really sounded like it came down to Shane Beamer and Billy Napier. I know that Scott Satterfield factored in here and there. Maybe Neil Brown did at some point. But those were the two main guys. First question, did you watch the Louisiana App State game on Friday? Did you catch any of that? Or did you catch any of the comments on social media?
So I caught the Twitter beef, and then I fell asleep before the historic failures in game management. So I didn't see it, unfortunately.
Right. Okay, so did you see the play, though? Did you see the play at all?
I saw it out of context on the internet.
Yes, okay, yes, of course. So again, we've talked to this ad nauseum, but going back to last week, I just think it was a really interesting point in this coaching search. Because, again, we talked off record. I think it came down to Beamer and Napier. And I said I would have been happy with either guy. Both guys have pros and cons. Obviously, we know the pros with Shane being at South Carolina, dream job, all that good stuff. Billy with head coaching experience and all that. His ties, working under Nick Saban, which I don't think that really matters, but whatever. So I caught a little bit of that Louisiana game. And I will say first things first. It's easy to sit here on the airwaves and talk with you, Alex, and say, oh, don't judge a guy from where he's worked and all this. But hearing the announcers say Billy Napier worked under Nick Saban and former Clemson assistant, puke. It made me want to throw up, honestly, hearing. And I'm not saying I would have been disappointed if he got the job, but it made me want to throw up. Second thing, watching that game. Again, I had dinner on Friday night. I was in Charlotte, had dinner plans, did not catch really any of the game. Got home, caught the fourth quarter, really. That's all I needed to see. 1:50 left. Your long snapper stinks. That Louisiana's long snapper stinks. I don't know how they don't have another long snapper. Kid was snapping it over heads all night. 1:50 left. You're up 5 points. And I saw the most I don't even know if Muschamp makes this call. You're at the 45-yard line. You run backwards 40 yards. You snap it to your quarterback. You run backwards 40 yards. Take a safety to make it a 3-point game with 1:50 left. That was probably like one of the most baffling calls I've ever seen on a football field. Like that was
it's a bold strategy.
Bold strategy is putting it very kindly. And again, Louisiana ended up winning the football game, and App State missed like a 27-yard chip shot to give Louisiana the win. Whatever. But I tweeted after the game, half jokingly, because it was crazy to see social media erupt like we just lost, or something, or like that just happened to us.
Right.
But I tweeted after the game and joked. I was like, that feels like one of those BS kind of pull it out of your ass wins that kept Will Muschamp in Columbia for 5 years. That's sort of what it felt like. But anyways, going from that point, I tell that story to kind of set it up because you can comment on it. That was one of the wildest things. And I think that had people feeling very uneasy about Billy Napier after that game because, and again, you don't want to put too much stock into it, but it's like, if you can't handle the pressure in the moment in a Sun Belt game, what are you going to do when you're coaching the SEC and you're making millions of dollars and there's big time games on the line and you got boosters breathing down your neck? And I mean, I don't know. That was a tough look for the home team there for a little bit. Gotta say.
But he has head coaching experience.
Yeah,
so obviously all that washes away.
Yeah, all that washes away. Well, anyways, I say that to say this. Again, I'm just trying to kind of unfold how things went. We go into Saturday. Again, it's Beamer, Napier, and there was an interview with Napier on Saturday. I want to first address the Billy Napier stuff because it comes out on social media. Billy Napier saying, I think, what was this, after the game? He said that he's staying at Louisiana. He's not taking the South Carolina job. And the narrative from a lot of people, and again, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but I just think it's interesting. The narrative from a lot of people that I've seen, or some people, is this. Oh, Scott Satterfield turned down South Carolina. Oh, Billy Napier turned down South Carolina. I tell folks, don't listen to the BS noise because there's a lot that I think went down behind closed doors that we don't know about. Because you and I both know, again, talking about what we heard from different sources, money was the issue. And I feel like knowing the type of dude Caslen is, and then again, Tanner and that whole search committee, and again, the boosters being split on who the hire was, I find it hard to believe they didn't watch that game Friday night and go, you know what? Maybe we're not going to give him the money he wants. Like, maybe we won't do that. Like, just your overall thoughts and how it unfolded to that point. And then, of course, we'll get directly into Beamer getting hired. But I just thought that was a really interesting storyline to follow in Saga as it unfolded on social media.
It is. And if I can add this to the internet trolls, we can't even get, we're being turned down by Louisiana Lafayette head coach, yada, yada, yada. You just go through it step by step. This man coached the game Friday night.
Yeah.
He got on a plane, presumably Saturday morning, to come interview for the job. The Kentucky game finishes, and he tweets out, whatever the media department gave him, that I'm staying at Louisiana Lafayette. Given those factors, your presumption is that he flew to Columbia to after a game that ended at 11:30 at night to tell Ray Tanner and Dan Caslin he was staying.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of the scene in Batman where they fly over to China and he's like, we just want to tell you we're not going to be doing business with you. He's like, a phone call would have sufficed. He's like, he just didn't want you to think we were intentionally wasting your time. Yeah. I don't think he flew to Columbia because he didn't want the job. Put it that way.
No, either they didn't come to an agreement with him, or they called him and they're like, we're going in a different direction. And for him, perception is the reality that I turned this job down. I didn't get passed over because that's helpful. For him in the credibility department, next time a job comes up, and it is not in our best interest to get into a Twitter war with a coach that no, he didn't actually turn this. I mean, we don't gain anything from that. We got the guy we wanted, obviously. Yeah. Let it go. There is, he did not fly to Columbia to tell them in person, I'm not taking this job. I assure you.
Just burning through that athletic department money to take the plane. Yeah.
Why not?
The news. Why not take a day trip down to Ocola? Now, and again,
send an email.
Yeah, we send a text. Yeah, we can move into again. We got the guy we wanted, Shane Beamer. We hadn't talked since Tuesday and late last week, and I think that saga was very interesting, obviously, to follow